Welcome to this week's Eternal Monday, where Pheromosa GX Fast Raid Donk faces off against Ultra Necrozma from Cosmic Eclipse. If you're new here, you might be wondering what the heck even is the Eternal format. In short, it is the unlimited format with a ban list. So this means the format features cards from the original base set all the way through to the most recent tournament legal set. Although it's an unofficial format, it's an incredibly fun format with a lot of rich deck building and gameplay experience to be had. If you're interested in learning more about the Eternal format, you can do so at justinbasil.com/eternal. Up first, we're going to look at Ultra Necrozma. Ultra Necrozma, of course, very much a known quantity in the Eternal format. We have the Unknown G that serves as a tool for Garbodor and its Garbotoxin ability. Garbotoxin, of course, is going to shut off the abilities of Pokemon in play. That's everything in play, but also everything in your hand and in your discard pile. This means that stuff like Execute's propagation ability will be disabled, but more importantly, it means Ultra Necrozma's ability is also disabled. Normally, because of Necrozma's ability, he wouldn't be able to attack until very late into the game, but with that ability disabled, you are able to attack with Luster of Downfall very early on, doing 170 damage and knocking an energy off of your opponent's active Pokemon. So even though you may not necessarily be taking a knockout each time you attack with Necrozma, you are going to be doing significant damage to their board state. Again, Ultra Necrozma is fairly well known. You're attaching Double Dragon Energy to power up Luster of Downfall. You have an option in Counter Energy if you're behind on prize cards. You have Life Dew to reduce the number of prize cards your opponent takes by 1 when they take a knockout on your Pokemon, which means ultimately in this deck, they'll be taking 0 at some points in the game, which can really rough them up. And finally, you'll have teammates to help ensure that you're able to get the cards you need after one of your Pokemon is knocked out. So that's Ultra Necrozma. On the other side of the coin, we have Fast Raid. You might be familiar with Fast Raid as a deck that existed on the Pokemon trading card game online ladder way back in the day when that still existed for us. Basically, the aim of this deck is to do a decent amount of damage to the only Pokemon the opponent has in play, and by so doing, taking a knockout on its very first turn, going first. Normally in the Pokemon trading card game, you can't attack going first. Fast Raid lets you attack going first. Now, Fast Raid would only normally do 30 damage, but with a lot of tools here in this deck, you'll be able to not only boost that damage, but get other damage into play before your opponent even gets to take a turn. For chip damage, you have Crobat G and Galarian Zigzagoon. The player who put this list together said that if they'd had 3 Crobat G, they would have forgone having the Galarian Zigzagoon in this list altogether because it's more difficult generally to shut off Poke Powers than it is abilities. So do keep that in mind. However, you do have an ability that does damage in Iron Valiant EX's Tachyon Bits, and you're also able to do poison damage with Hypnotoxic Laser, boosted, of course, by Radiant Hisuian Sneasler and its ability. And finally, for other ways to boost your damage, you have Beast Energy Prism Star, which boosts the attack damage for Pheromosa GX by 30, but you also have Plus Power that kind of sort of works a bit like Power Tablets or Electro Power in the past, except this just generically increases the damage done by your attacking Pokemon by 10. And finally, if you're needing to, you can hit for both Psychic and Fighting weaknesses with Mew from Fates Collide and Marshadow GX from Burning Shadows, both of which can copy Pheromosa GX's Fast Raid attack and benefit from many of the same boosts that Pheromosa GX herself does. All in all, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, this deck is not very good, mostly because if you go second, you tend to just lose. If your opponent sets up 2 Pokemon that have higher HP, you also tend to just lose. So as a reliable tournament winning strategy, this does not work. As a fun gimmick deck just to see the limitations on the format in general, it's worth a look. So that's Fast Raid. Let's look at the game. Our players are setting up here with Ultra Necrozma on the left. Looks like our Fast Raid player started with a Galarian Zigzagoon. See, a Mysterious Treasure discarding a teammates there on the Ultra Necrozma side. Player giving the Unknown a quick reread to see if it's worth grabbing at the moment. Deciding probably not. Going for the Trubbish by the look of it. Seems like a good idea. You really want to get at least 2 of those Trubbish down turn 1 if you can as Ultra Necrozma. You need that Garbodor and that Garbotoxin active as quickly as possible turn 2. As you will need to start attacking. Do you see Trainer's Mail? Trainer's Mail going to find an admin? Yeah, grabbing Rocket's admin off the top there. Pretty good card. I think if I were to rebuild this deck today, and I think I probably will, I think I'd swap in a Marnie instead of that admin. But admin is still a useful card. We are going to see a pass over to Fast Raid. Fast Raid throwing down the Dragonite. Interesting choice to play down that Dragonite EX. Getting no benefit out of it. Normally you'd use it for pull up and then pull a couple of like unknown from your discard pile onto your bench so you could then use their abilities to discard them and draw a card, but we're not seeing that here. Our fast food player making a little tough decision about what to discard for that quick ball. Quick ball going to get something out of the deck there. Discarding a grass energy, though. We did see a super scoop up. Gonna get a Crobat V. Crobat V with that dark asset ability that lets you draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Let's see a full shuffle here. Probably gonna play that down. Super scoop up, not working unfortunately for the fast trade player. Gonna draw a few cards off of the Crobat. Getting a Squawkabilly EX in play. We do see the plus power go down, so that's a +10 immediately for the fast trade player. Having to make a choice off of that Acrobike, discarding the Crobat G, looking for another recovery card, this time in the form of Recycle. Putting a switch on top of the deck and then drawing with Bicycle to get 4 cards in hand. We see that unknown there lets you draw a card once it's discarded. You see a little bit of damage in the form of the Tachyon bits from the Iron Valiant EX there. Fast Trade, of course, doing what it does best and drawing cards, putting damage into play as quickly as it can. Hypnotoxic Laser, poisoning Ultra Necrozma. Not putting it to sleep, though. At this point, Poison is doing just the 1 tick of damage in between turns. You see a quick ball on that Pheromosa, meaning that Pheromosa is going to have to be found again, or otherwise pulled from the discard later on in the game to ensure the attack can be done. See a switch, Tachyon bits once again taking effect on that Trubbish. Bicycle drawing more cards still. See Beauty drawing 2 cards. Beauty, basically the only supporter card this deck runs because it can be played on the very first turn going first. I did see Beast Energy Prism Star there. That's pretty crazy. Choosing to go ahead with the V-Star power here off that Crobat, the Forest Sealstone, and Star Alchemy, grabbing a card from the deck. So any card here. Curious what they chose. Perhaps a Skyfield. Skyfield allowing them to put up to 8 bench Pokemon in play at a time. They're now going to be up to 6 with that unknown going down, if it actually goes down. Making a kind of an odd decision here. We do see Computer Search. Computer discarding a pair of cards here, including, by the look of it, the unknown that almost went down. Pheromosa GX does go down, though. That's a second copy of that Pheromosa GX, so it has been found. And we see both what appears to be Muscle Band and the Beast Energy on that Pheromosa, so we have a +50. So current moment, they'll be doing 90 damage because of plus power. Not quite enough to knock out Necrozma. You're going to need 100 damage with the Poison Tick to get there. Alternatively, you could get Radiant Hisuian Sneasler to boost the poison damage and take the knockout on Ultra Necrozma. But either way, that would still leave Trubbish in play, which is less than ideal. Recycle not appearing to succeed there. Radiant Hisuian Sneasler does come down, though, which means that the Ultra Necrozma is now going to be knocked out by Fast Raid. Oh, it's a pass. There's no dice. It didn't work. Garbotoxin now online and Rocket's admin also going into effect. That's less than ideal for the Fast Raid player. At this point, the Fast Raid player will have already won, typically, if they're going to win. This means this game has been lost by Fast Raid. Fast Raid player choosing to play it out, probably for the video. But let's see how this goes. Actually, speaking of playing it out, it was quite amusing. The March tournament where this took place, the Fast Raid player decided to bring Fast Raid for the tournament and learned very quickly that it did not work so well for a tournament environment. Ended up scooping all of their games before about a minute was up. In fact, time had yet to be started in one of the rounds before they'd scoop. So that was amusing. Turns out if you don't get to go first, you just don't do so hot. See, once again, a pass back to our Ultra Necrozma player with that knockout on the Necrozma. Lana's Fishing Rod, putting Necrozma back into the deck, putting probably a tool back as well. At least it wasn't a prizeless knockout. No No life do in play this go around. Do see a Versus Seeker for that Teammates. Teammates going to find any 2 cards in the deck that you want. Most likely exactly what they pulled out, which is that Ultra Necrozma and a Double Dragon Energy. Then we see that free retreat on the Garbodor because of Floatstone. And Pheromosa GX goes down, as does that Beast Energy Prism Star. Dragonite in the active spot there, kind of just being Dragonite at this point. We do get to see a recovery in the form of Recycle, Grass Energy going on the top of the deck. Gonna have to find a way to draw into it before it gets flipped over. Not looking super promising. Looks like they don't think they're going to get to it, so they're just going to save it for the draw next turn. And we see a second Garbotoxin coming out. This is not very good for Fast Raid. All those abilities being shut off. We do see a Professor Juniper on the side of the Garbotoxin and Necrozma. So a fresh draw 7, basically. Necrozma, however, is still out and about, still doing knockout things. So that's good for Necrozma's side. Find a mysterious treasure on the Necrozma side. Probably going to find another Ultra Necrozma to have it ready to go next turn as a safety precaution. Nope, going for Trashalanche. That's not a horrible option. It is another pick. You had the Trubbish down. Trashalanche, very good against a deck that burns through item cards. And Fast Raid burns item cards with the best of them. I think Fast Raid and probably United Wings are the very top in that respect. Do you see a Cessation Crystal down on that on that active Garbodor there? Trashalanche taking big KOs. All those juicy item cards in the discard pile. Squawkabilly gonna try to do some damage here. Putting some damage on that. I'm sorry, this is too funny. Putting some damage on that Garbodor and trying desperately to do something this game. I think that might be all she wrote. Yeah, that's all there is to it. They're realizing that's just game over. The last prize card is gonna be taken by that Garbodor pretty much no matter what at this point. So Garbodor and the Garbodor dice bag taking that game. But for a little bonus game, let's look at how this deck could theoretically work in a best case scenario. So again, this is a similar game, exact same matchup. You have the Garbotoxin on one side, and you have Fast Raid on the other. Once again, Trash Bag coming out to play. We see a poison, or not poison, a ping on the Trubbish in the active spot. You see Mew being discarded by Quick Ball, throwing that Pheromosa GX down, perhaps? Yes? Question mark? Yeah, there it goes. It is indeed going down. So at this point, that Trubbish is pretty weak already. There is no second Pokemon in play, making that Trubbish player very vulnerable to literally anything at this point. Something like a Beast Energy Prism Star will get the player there. Beast Energy Prism Star is prized, though. That's less than ideal. Not so great. They need to find another way to get to that damage threshold to take the knockout on Trubbish. They can do it. They know they can do it, but they're going to have to pull for it a little bit. See, double unknown and a fresh draw 6 by the look of it off of the Crobat ability. Let's see, an attachment of Muscle Band to Pheromosa and KO. There goes Trubbish. So that is ideally how this Fast Raid deck is supposed to work. Basically, your opponent gets stuck with a weaker Pokemon or only one semi-strongish Pokemon in that active spot, and then Pheromosa isn't able to do the amount of damage needed, and the deck in general just can't take enough of a knockout, really. It can't take the big knockout in the active spot, or it can't take a couple of mid-sized knockouts, and it just kind of falls apart at that point. That's why it doesn't work so hot for a tournament, because ultimately, especially in a best of 3 setting, your magic trick isn't going to work. It's just not going to happen. You get the one Trinksy gimmick off just once, and then you're done. You're cooked. And like I said, in this particular case, this player had a very fun time playing the deck, but not so much in the tournament, where they just effectively scooped each and every round. But yeah, that's Fast Raid, and I mean, it had a very worthy opponent in Ultra Necrozma. Ultra Necrozma kind of put up the fight and did what it was supposed to. And Fast Raid did Fast Raid things. Anyway, if you happen to find yourself in the San Antonio area on May 11th, you can join us at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch for the next in real life Eternal format tournament. Registration and deck validation begin at 11 a.m. with round 1 scheduled to start at approximately noon. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.